All right, let's get right into it. We're diving into an absolutely powerful opening scene from Charles Dickens's classic novel, Hard Times. The chapter itself is called Murdering the Innocents, which tells you everything you need to know, really. What we're about to see is this incredible clash between facts and fancy, between cold calculation and pure creativity, all happening inside a pretty dreary schoolroom.
And here he is. This is the man at the very center of it all, Thomas Gradgrind, in his own words. And you gotta understand, this isn't just some weird personal obsession. Nope, this is the spirit of the industrial age boiled down into one person. It's a philosophy called utilitarianism, which basically said that the value of anything, or anyone, is all about its practical use. For a guy like Gradgrind, there's just no room for mystery, no space for anything that you can't weigh and measure.
So, keeping that in mind, let's take a look at what Gradgrind's mission really is. See, he's not just teaching kids. He is, in a very real way, trying to re-engineer the very idea of childhood. He wants to rip out all the wonder and replace it with nothing but cold, hard data. I mean, just listen to the words Dickens uses here. It's not gentle, it's not nurturing, it is violent. He's a cannon ready to discharge. This isn't education as we think of it, it's an all-out assault, an attack designed to completely obliterate imagination with a barrage of information.
Now, this whole philosophical battle, it's not just some abstract debate. It's literally embodied in the students themselves, especially in two kids who are about as different as you can possibly get. So the very first thing Gradgrind does is try to just erase a student's identity. He calls her girl number 20. He tells her that her name, Sissy, isn't a real name and that she has to be called Cecilia. He completely dismisses her father's job at the circus, rebranding him as something more respectable. He is systematically stripping away everything that makes her her and slapping on factual acceptable labels instead.
And this comparison just lays it all out, doesn't it? You have Sissy, who is just full of life and color and energy, literally drawing life from the sun, and then you have Bitzer. He's pale, washed out, completely drained, the perfect little product of Gradgrind's system. Dickens even says he's so unwholesome that if you were to cut him, he would bleed white. He's a kid who's literally been drained of his own humanity.
Okay, so all of this tension builds to a head-on collision between these two worlds. The stage is set, and the battleground is going to be something that sounds incredibly simple, the definition of a horse.
So Gradgrind turns to Sissy Jupe. Remember, she's the girl whose father works with horses, who has literally grown up around them her whole life, who knows them inside and out. And he demands a definition, a list of facts.
And she freezes. She can't do it. But why? Well, because her knowledge isn't a list of facts. It's experience. It's the sight, the sound, the smell, the feeling of a horse. It's a living, breathing understanding, not a collection of data points she can just recite on command. So the demand for a sterile definition completely paralyzes her.
But Bitzer can. He just rattles off this definition like a machine, straight out of a textbook. It is precise, it's clinical, and it is completely and utterly lifeless. He describes the horse like it's a biological machine, just a collection of parts. And in Gradgrind's world, that is what knowledge looks like.
And here it is, the most devastatingly ironic line in the whole chapter. He turns to the one girl in the room who actually knows what a horse is and tells her that only now, after hearing this sterile list, does she finally understand. It's a complete flip-flop of what real knowledge even means.
So this whole showdown over the horse, that was just the warm-up act. This gospel of fact goes way beyond the classroom. It's meant to govern every single part of life, and that includes things like art and beauty.
Then, this government official steps up. Dickens describes him like a prize fighter, ready to take on anyone for his system, and he poses the next test. The question sounds innocent enough, right? But it's a trap. It's totally designed to sniff out and destroy any little bit of imagination.
And here we have it, the core belief, the grand discovery of their whole system. Aesthetics, beauty, art, everything we call taste is not about feelings or creativity. Nope, it's just another word for fact. The only things you're allowed to appreciate are things that you can observe in empirical reality.
So of course, Sissy walks right into the trap again. When she's asked about a flowery carpet, she gives this totally simple, human answer. She likes flowers, they look nice, she would fancy having them in her room. And that one word, fancy, that's the word they were waiting to hear.
And this is the system's big moment of victory. The official just pounces on that word. You are never to fancy.
It is an absolute, total prohibition. Imagination isn't just a waste of time, it is strictly forbidden. So let's just break this terrifying logic down. First, you get rid of fancy completely. Second, nothing can contradict reality. You don't walk on real flowers, so you can't have them on your carpet. Third, no impossible pictures, like horses walking up a wall. So what's left? What's the only acceptable decoration? Mathematical figures. The only beauty allowed is the kind you can prove with an equation.
So, what's the end result? What is the final product of a system like this? Well, we see it perfectly in the teacher himself, the guy who's been designed to carry this philosophy forward and continue the murder of the innocents.
The new teacher, this Mr. Machokum child, he isn't really an individual. He's a mass-produced object. He was made in a factory, just like piano legs, one of 140 identical copies. And Dickens is not just being poetic. He's making a direct connection between the factories churning out products and the educational factories churning out these fact-stuffed, soulless teachers.
And just look at the stuff he knows. The list is gigantic, it's encyclopedic, and it's completely absurd. He knows all the watersheds of the world, all the histories of all peoples, all the languages. He is a walking, talking database, a container that's just been crammed to the breaking point with disconnected information.
And this line just perfectly sums up the central tragedy of the whole system. What Dickens is saying is that this huge overflow of sterile facts has completely crowded out any ability to actually teach or to inspire curiosity or to connect with another human being. All that knowledge has actually made him a worse teacher, not a better one.
And we'll end on this final haunting question from the narrator. The whole point of the system is to kill outright, what he calls the robber fancy. But the narrator asks, what if you don't actually succeed? What if you only manage to wound it, to maim and distort it? What kind of twisted, monstrous thing does imagination become after it's been so brutally attacked? A pretty chilling thought to leave us with.